Hello guys, and welcome to my Shadowlands pre-patch rundown on the melee DPS. My name is Squiggle, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys through which classes have really come out on top in this pre-patch, and of course what kind of correlation we can see in the Shadowlands. Now, this guide is going to have an interesting perspective on these classes because not only is it going to cover how much these classes have been improved, but it's also going to cover how good these classes are. So for example, these classes may not be the very tip-top DPS in the game, some of them are, but it also goes to show which ones have gained the most out of this expansion and what we can really see to be the best classes coming into the Shadowlands for the melee DPS. So without further ado, here is my guide and I hope you guys enjoy. Coming in at number 3, we are going to use the warrior as our benchmark for this video. Of course, the warrior is going to be something that has been brought forever. It's just been an insanely reliable class. And of course, you brought at least one for progression just to make sure that you guys got the attack power buff for your whole raid group. Now, the nice thing about the warrior is they are actually gaining some nice tools. Specifically, the main tool that I wanted to put emphasis on today is Spell Reflect for melee DPS warriors. Now, this is a huge addition to the warrior when it comes to dungeons. You're going to see warriors being able to live mechanics that they honestly really shouldn't. And this is also going to add in a little bit of DPS to these niche situations where you can start to reflect a lot of spells. On top of this, we are going to talk about what the warrior still already has. So the warrior, it's still going to have its commanding shout to increase the HP of your whole raid, and it is going to have the raid wide buff, of course, of battle shout, which is going to be ever more mandatory as the war scrolls are not going to be available in the Shadowlands. On top of this, one really nice thing that the warrior is gaining is that it is actually removing a lot of the GCD abilities, specifically cooldowns such as Avatar. So this is really nice quality of life for the warrior, as when it was coming into BFA, people were thinking that the opener would be about 5 or 6 GCDs before you actually got into the fight. Now, this ended up being something more like 2 or 3 GCDs. It wasn't the best thing ever. However, we have got a better solution already, which is really nice to see. Next up, at number 2, we have the Rogue. Now, Rogue has had a really prominent face in terms of raiding for pretty much its whole career. It started off as a massive damage powerhouse, and it's pretty much tapered into that unkillable machine DPS, which is still going to do relatively good damage. However, the main thing about the Rogue that is going to be brought for raid is that it has that nice feint ability, and it also has the Cloak of Shadows. It's just a really nice consistent melee class, and that's pretty much what you bring them for. On top of this, when it comes to Mythic Plus, the Rogue is going to be insanely strong once again. If anything, it's going to be even stronger than it is in M Plus right now, as right now we have the Awakened Affix, which pretty much does what a Rogue does. So the Rogue is going to be 100% mandatory for keys of any level. They're going to be extremely strong, and of course, because there are 3 DPS specs for the Rogue, it's generally going to have something that can do anything at any point. Specifically, we would see that in the last expansion, Assassination was the go-to for most progression bosses. However, people were running Outlaw and Keys and AoE bosses such as Orgazoa. And lastly, Blizzard seem like they have addressed the one pink elephant in the room, and that's that sub has been completely trash for the longest time. However, right now in the Shadowlands pre-patch, they are looking pretty good, and the Covenant ability for the Rogue looks completely broken. Maybe they might balance it a little bit, but it's looking right now like Rogue is probably going to be one of the best, if not the best, DPS specs for melee in the Shadowlands. Now, taking our number 1 spot, we are going to have the Death Knight. Now, honestly, the Death Knight, it's been a little bit underrepresented for the last expansion. The Death Knight started off really strong in the first tier, being basically the best melee DPS outside of the class buffs, the Warrior, and the Demon Hunter, and we can see similar things to this now. It is going to be a complete powerhouse in Raid and in Mythic Plus alike. It's got insane damage, it's got some extra buttons such as the anti-magic zone, and overall all of the strengths of the Frost DK and the Unholy DK are basically being elevated. Another thing that I would like to add is that for people who like playing multiple specs, the DK really does just cover everything. You can basically be a rogue player and only play outlaw / assassination and you'll pretty much be fine. But when you play the DK, you have a lot of options in the blood, frost, and unholy talent trees. Now honestly, I prefer frost the most out of all of these. I think unholy DK is looking slightly better in terms of raw damage, but I really do like the feel of the current Frost Scythe build and how much damage it can do in dungeons. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure to subscribe down below. And of course, last but not least, make sure to leave me any comments about anything I can improve for the next video, or any questions that you may have coming into the next expansion. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.